Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Tori and today I'm going to be setting up my reading journal for the month of May, and I am so very behind in this actual setup, so it's going to be quite simple. And I also wanted to share that I have created my own reading journal stamp. I've got most of the titles that I personally use when I'm setting up my reading journal. So my visual time to read, favorite book, reading log, and totals. And then I've got some other ones in here like book club pick, buddy read, and diverse reads. And then all of these over here down on the side are going to be kind of phrases and titles that I use whenever I am actually doing book thoughts and reviews. And then this one over here is something that I haven't actually seen anybody else do or on any other stamp set, where there is already a predetermined star rating. So there is 5 separate stamps and I have each of them colored in 1 through 5 star rating. And then a little flame rating for how spicy a book is. And then just a general kind of 5-star rating if you wanted to use that. These ones up here are specifically measured and created to fit in a 5mm dot grid notebook. And then I just have a bunch of really fun icons that I personally drew out. I created these in Adobe Illustrator. So I drew all of these out within Adobe Illustrator and used one of my favorite fonts to kind of do all of these titles. So I will have this linked below on my Etsy shop if you're interested in checking these out or purchasing them. They are photopolymer stamps and I'm very, very excited to use them. I have not seen a stamp set really that would kind of fulfill this need for me in my reading journal. I have this stamp set from Everyday Explorers and it's got some of these titles, but I don't like the arrows and it doesn't have all of the titles and kind of phrases that I wanted. And all of these image icons that it does have in here are just too big. And I don't like having my book rating stamp on 2 separate lines. So this is a fantastic stamp set. I love it, but it didn't meet all of the needs that I have when it comes to kind of filling in my reading journal. So I really wanted to just kind of create something that would meet all of my needs. But this is a good option as well if you don't want to purchase from me and you wanted to kind of have another option. This is the reading journal stamp set from Everyday Explorers, and if it's available I will link that in the description box for you as well. And I'm going to be using this specifically for the titles for my book, for my reading journal setup this month. I have tested this out in the back of my journal as well, and you can kind of see nice and close up that this rating, the star rating for the pre-filled stars, fits perfectly within each little dot grid space. And then all of the titles, author, format, those ones also fit within the dot grid spaces as well. And so it's just, I love it. It's going to be perfect for what I need. I have tried so many different star rating stamps. This is from the Notebook Therapy, this one. This is a super mini one that I got from Etsy, but I didn't like that it was not within each dot grid space. I do like it. It's super cute and it's super tiny, but this one is from Ellie Studio. So I've tried quite a few. And none of the star ratings just really, none of them satisfied me, I guess, in the way that I was looking for. So that is one of the reasons why I've decided to create my own. And then in my April setup, I also was using that teeny tiny dot grid or teeny tiny star stamp in here. But it was a pain to color that in. Like, it was so painful for me to color that in. So I used some actual ink and tried out the stamps that I set up, and it was great. I loved it. So we are going to set up for May. I've got some simple stuff kind of set out here. Like I said, I'm going to be using this stamp set. I called it My Reading Journal. And like I said, it'll be on my Etsy if you're interested. I will be using this washi tape from the Washi Tape Shop for my kind of main decoration. I'm not going to be doing a ton of decoration for this setup, but I really wanted there to be something other than just pens. So I also picked out 3 brush markers that match this washi tape quite well. I will be using Flamingo Red. This is a Archer and Olive Calliograph pen. I also have a Tombow Dual Brush Pen in 910, and then a Tombow Dual Brush Pen in 312. And then I'm going to also be using my Pigma Micron in 005. And that's about it. So we are going to jump right in and get this set up because, like I said, I'm very far behind. It's already May 10th, and I've had to start penciling in the books that I'm reading because I have not yet set this up. So I will hand it over to my voiceover self so that we can get this started. So I'm going to, like I said, be keeping this setup very simple. So I'm starting by outlining all of the pre-drawn boxes that I have in my spreads and layouts, and I'm just using a plain ruled solid line for all of these boxes that I have drawn. This is actually the first time this year that I think I've done this, just one single plain solid line. I think for most of the year I've been doing broken line borders, so I thought it would be interesting to just kind of go back to what I was doing at the very beginning and just drawing a solid ruled line. So that's what I will be doing throughout this setup, is drawing these lines around each of my pages. And I'm also going to be using that washi tape from the Washi Tape Shop, and I will be ripping that washi tape for each of the pages that I'm using as well. I did recently get contacted by the Washi Tape Shop, and they have given me an affiliate code, so I wanted to share that with my friends here as well. So if you want to save some money at the Washi Tape Shop, you can use my affiliate code, Torey Ramos 10, to save 10% on your order. And I have that down in the description box if you're interested in checking that out as well. Yeah, it is an affiliate code, so I make a small commission off of it, but that does not come at any extra cost to you. For my May header this month, I actually pulled out my Notebook Therapy typewriter stamps. I didn't actually plan this, which is why I did not pull these out at the beginning of my video. I didn't even think about how I was going to put my May title on here. So as I got to that portion of it, I was like, oh, well, let me just grab these typewriter stamps. For the washi tape, I actually ripped it going towards myself and then also away from myself because I'm going to be using both edges of the washi tape that I'm ripping. I'm covering the top and the bottom here, which you'll see. And I found that ripping both ways, kind of alternating back and forth as I am ripping that washi tape, allows the ripped edge look to appear on both sides of the washi tape rather than one of them looking kind of a little bit cleaner and the other side looking a little bit messier. So I like doing this if I'm going to be using both sides of the ripped washi. And since this washi tape is a little on the pricier side, I don't like wasting it. So I'm gonna do the best I can to use all of it, which will include ripping it in a way that I find it appealing on both sides. I'm also using a replacement blade for my X-Acto knife here because I could not find my X-Acto knife anywhere. I have no idea where I put it. So I just pulled out a replacement blade and kind of am just using that teeny tiny blade throughout this spread as well.
So we are moving on to my visual time to read and my reading log spreads. I am once again going to just outline all of my boxes and my calendar here. And I'm also going to be using that stamp set to add my titles to this page. I will be using the reading log stamp, the visual time to read stamp, and I also am going to be pulling out the bookshelf, the book stack, the books, one of the books stamps. And I'm going to be kind of stamping that right next to the little key that I have for how I'm highlighting my visual time to read spread. I also pulled out a Pigma Micron in size 10 to add a line on each side of where I will place my actual book information underneath my reading log. That was another whim, spur of the moment decision, so that was also not a product that I would be using that I listed at the beginning. I am pulling this teeny tiny heart from my stamp set here, and I'm going to be using that as kind of like a bullet point to separate each of the reading types that I track on my visual time to read spread, which is going to be a physical book, a digital book, and an audio book. And I do tend to read both audio and digital books at the exact same time. I like to download the digital version of the book and the audio version and kind of read it along with the audio version. I find that I can retain the information and what's actually happening in the book a lot easier that way. So I'm wondering if maybe I should kind of create a new option down here for that. I'm not sure. What do you think down in the comments? Let me know. I have really been enjoying the calendar that I've been setting up for this visual time to read spread, and I've been using the same one for almost 5 months now, and I am loving it. So I will probably continue to use this probably for the rest of the year. Hopefully I'm not jinxing myself, but I really like the way it looks at the end of each month. I did pull off a really teeny tiny piece of that washi tape, and I'm going to try and squeeze it above my reading log stamped title. And I end up needing to rip it just a little bit more and end up fully ripping that strip of washi tape in half. Instead of discarding that, I just kind of go with it and just end up with 2 pieces of washi tape above this title. These particular 2 spreads, I'm not going to be placing a ton of washi tape on. They will be very, very full, these 2 pages, at the end of the month. So I'm not super concerned with having a ton of extra decoration on it. I will add a little bit more to the following 2 pages, but for these 2, since it's usually just got so much information on, I don't worry too much about making sure that they're kind of overly decorated. I do think that the amount of decoration that I did add was very cute at the end, and I did quite enjoy it. So we are done with these 2 spreads, and now we will be moving on to the next 2 pages, which is going to be my totals page and my favorite book page. I'm going to start once again doing the same thing and just creating all of my outlines and borders of each of my sections. For my totals page this month, I ended up just kind of picking a space within my page border and just drawing oddly random shaped boxes. I wanted I wanted to continue with kind of keeping this page very fun. I feel like the last few months I've done a lot of really fun stuff for my totals page, but I didn't want it to be too time extensive and just, take up a ton of time to actually do. So I thought that drawing out these fun shaped boxes this way would fulfill all of that for me and still kind of make the page a little bit interesting while being very simple to set up. I'm going to be using the totals title, and I noticed as I was doing my final flip through that I definitely used the wrong stamp for my favorite book page. I actually stamped out reading log again. I don't know how I didn't notice that, but I'm going to have to go back in and fix that probably at a later time, probably when I end up going in and actually filling in all of this information and I remember that I stamped it incorrectly. It'll get fixed eventually though, eventually. And then on my totals page, I'm going to be using the 3 brush pens that I picked out, and I will just be highlighting the very first row of each of these boxes. And then I'm going to add some washi tape to these pages as well. I will also pull out an audiobook stamp that is going to fit perfectly within one of these little boxes here. So I'm just going to stamp that in just as a little bit of extra decoration as well. This audiobook stamp was actually one that one of my actual friends in real life asked me to create. It's basically a book that has headphones around it and then kind of a little volume icon on the cover of the book to signify that it's an audiobook, and we both really ended up loving it. And so I just kind of want to stamp that out on here where I think I will be putting my hours listened on this totals page as well. It feels really weird to keep talking about this being my stamp set and it being in my Etsy shop, but I did want to mention one last thing. I don't have a large amount of inventory of this particular stamp set available at this moment. I can always order more depending on how fast this amount sells out, etc., etc. So if you don't see it on my Etsy shop and you're interested in it, leave a comment below and let me know. You can only sign up for restock notifications on Etsy if the seller pays Etsy money to let you do it. And I don't make enough Etsy sales to justify that, so I'm not going to. At least not right now. But yeah, if you don't see it available and you're interested in checking it out or purchasing or whatever, just leave me a comment below on this video and I will kind of take note of that so that I can get a reorder placed. I am going to, on my favorite book page, I placed the washi tape at the top and bottom of this page, and then I'm going to just highlight every other row of my kind of section where I place that book with that light pink Tombow Dual Brush Pen that I'm using. I'm also, since we are a little ways into the month already and I do have information that needs to be added to my reading journal, I figured I would just go ahead and add it while I was recording. So I have been penciling in just the title and author of the books that I've been reading and the dates. I do add more information to this page, but it's all information that can be added at a later time just by looking at Goodreads or whatever. So I just wanted to make sure I had the primary information, so the book and the dates that I read it. And then I'm also going to be filling in some of these books on my visual time to read calendar as well. The 2 that I finished, and then there's one advanced reader copybook that I'm reading that I've kind of been setting aside a lot more than reading, not because it's bad. It's so enjoyable when I am reading it. But I've been doing a lot of buddy reads with my friend Brooke this month, and we just decided to reread the entire Legacy of God series because the next book is coming out in June. And so I've just kind of been setting it aside to read another book with her. I am going to be pulling out one of the star rating stamps off of this stamp set, and I'm going to be kind of stamping out the 4-star rating on some of the books that I've already read. I like doing this because I like being able to see what I rated the book before I do my actual reviews and stuff at the back of the book. Not to mention, I'm not planning on doing a review page for every single one of my books, so it's good to have this information on the actual monthly pages as well. So we have reached the end of this video. I would love to know your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I hope to see you in my next video. Bye!